Justice Scalia hasn't even been buried, and yet everyone is already fighting over his replacement. Talk about bad manners. But this is politics where there are no etiquette rules, and even if there were rules, everyone breaks them. And get ready, this fight over replacement on the Supreme Court will have blood on the floor. So should President Obama fulfill the constitutional duty and name a successor, or should that decision be left for whomever wins the 2016 election?
This next election needs to be a referendum on the court.
I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor.
The Senate has a duty to consider that and to decide whether or not to confirm whoever the president nominates.
We are not moving forward on the Supreme Court nominee until after this election.
This kind of obstructionism isn't going to last.
We must replace Scalia with another rock-solid conservative. I cannot imagine that happening under this president.
The Democrats don't have clean hands here. Both sides ought to just back off.
The Constitution is pretty clear. President makes the appointment, Senate confirms. Let's get on with that business.
The president can decide whatever he wants, but I'm just telling you, the Senate's not moving forward on it until we have a new president.
Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So do you want to jump into this spat? Should the president appoint someone now?
Well, look, the language is important. The president does not appoint. The president nominates. The Senate has to approve. The Senate's not going to approve. And ironically, it was Schumer under George W. Bush who said over a year out we should block anybody except in the most extraordinary circumstances. It was Obama who tried to filibuster Alito. So it's pretty hard for them to come in now with a straight face. But
how do you square that though? With you've got President Ronald Reagan appointed Bork, he didn't pass muster, he didn't make it. Then Judge Ginsburg was nominated, he didn't make it, and then Justice Kennedy was nominated, and he made, I think, unanimously so with the Democratic Senate. I
don't have to square it. The fact is that it was a time and place where they had worked at it for well over 2 years. The seat was vacant. So this idea that the president has every right to nominate anybody he wants to. The Senate has equal right to
reject it.
Just ignore it. They don't have to reject it. They can ignore it.
What kind of candidate do you think could pass? I mean, we're in an awkward position where we're going to have 4-4. I mean, we risk 4-4 decisions right now.
We list for 10 months, which given the Supreme Court record, would be probably 3 to 5 decisions. Now, the fact is, the president will never do this. But he could sit down with Mitch McConnell and Mike Lee and people of that caliber and say, okay, Orrin Hatch, who would you accept? He could nominate Orrin Hatch. I suspect the Republican Senate would approve Orrin Hatch in a minute. I bet even Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio would switch if he nominated Orrin Hatch. But he's not going to, as a left-wing radical, he is not going to nominate somebody who's as conservative as Scalia. And as a conservative Senate, why should they accept anybody who is less conservative than Scalia?
All right, so play this out. He's going to nominate someone who the Senate is going to reject, right? You expect that?
They're not even going to take it up.
Okay, they're not going to take it up.
They won't reject it. It'll just die.
All right, they won't take it up. So how does this play out on the campaign trail?
It guarantees that every person who cares about the Second Amendment turns out to vote. I mean, the number of people who are going to turn out when they begin to realize that this is the swing vote that could take away the right to bear arms, that a radical appointed, and it reminds them that Sanders and Clinton have this enormous potential of nominating a radical, and therefore I think will actually increase the intensity of the turnout.
Now, Justice Ginsburg is probably one of the oldest on the Supreme Court. She has denied that she is retiring, but she is getting a little older, and we come to the term at the end of June. It is possible that there are actually 2 vacancies come July 1st.
It is possible, in which case you don't have to worry about it, because by the time the court gets around to doing something next year, they'll have 2 new judges.
All right, let me ask you about the spat between Senator Ted Cruz and Donald Trump today. Donald Trump says he's unstable and a liar.
You know, I wish Trump would drop all of the personal ad hominem things which he seems to enjoy so much. I think it weakens the country. I think it weakens him. I think it makes us look stupid. And I'm not defending Cruz or anybody else. I'm just saying I think the whole politics of this kind of personal stuff is almost deranged. It makes no sense to me to spend this kind of time on this kind of personality stuff.
Are you endorsing?
No.
You're not going to endorse?
No.
This is your big chance.
I know, but I have too many friends running.
Too many friends. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, nice to see you, sir.
Good to be with you.